Good morning, all. Welcome to the Chaos Engineering Meetup of September 2021. So, thanks, Sarita, for providing me the presenter access. And thanks, Prithvi, and thanks, Sarita, and thanks, Litmus Chaos team for giving me an opportunity and platform to speak about my experience and about my innovation for some of the chaos engineering tool which we have developed for procurement line of business. To start with this presentation for today, let me introduce myself. My name is Shubhadeep Ganguly, and I am working for SAP for Performance Engineering Group, and I am a cloud and DevOps architect from SAP. So I have certified in AWS Associate Solution Architect, and also I am Google Cloud Certified Professional Cloud Architect, and also I'm an Solution Architect expert on Azure, certified by Microsoft. So that's all about myself. I am having around 12 plus years of experience working in IT industry, and currently I am working on different framework and tools development into cloud and DevOps platform. And today my topic is about one of the tool and some of the concept which you have adopted for chaos engineering framework for procurement LOB. So with this, I'll move forward to the next slide. So let us see what is the problem statement. So the problem statement is that do we have a strong immunity in our production system to recover against any abnormal failures? As of now, in our current project sphere, it is not there. It is all as usual performance test, but there is no such innovative technology or some kind of resilient testing framework which can prevent the abnormal failures beyond the performance testing scope. So that is point down. Next is that how do our system behave in case of any sudden increase in the traffic on the application. So in case of any abnormal traffic injection, how does our system behave, whether it is tested against this kind of sudden increase in the traffic or in case of any abnormal interruption. So this is also one of the problem statement before we have started innovating this new chaos engineering tool for the procurement project. Next is that in case our existing infrastructure is unable to identify failures, then it will become the outages. And if it become outage, it will result in poor NPS. So do we have any mechanism which can find these kinds of bottlenecks in the system and prevent them very early in the early stage of software development life cycle? So the answer was no before we innovated this kind of tool. So post that, we are thinking of how can we improve the NPS so that it won't become any outage. Next is like, even if this outage is passed, what is the recovery and resiliency of the application, whether it can retry very aggressively or it can recover from any kind of abnormal failures. Also, like are you able to find any proper production bugs with the help of the performance testing in our queue staging environment? So the answer was not exactly yes, because it was not giving enough performance bugs from the production, because we have not tested beyond the as usual BAU performance testing scope. So hence there is a necessity of this kind of innovative tool development which can abnormally increase the traffic or shut down any kind of applications beyond any kind of scope and test the system in kinds of stability, performance, reliability, and resiliency. So all these problem statements have aggregated to think out of the box and innovate some kind of tool which can achieve which can help us to achieve highest NPS, at least better NPS, and help the production system to recover in case of any abnormal failures. So that's all for this slide. Let's move forward to the next slide to see how did we overcome these kind of challenges. So to overcome these challenges, we have worked on creating a chaos engineering framework. So these are the technologies we have used. One of them is Ansible and shell scripting and JMeter for developing the performance test scenarios. This is the architecture and the entire infrastructure which actually created for developing this particular chaos engineering framework. So we have developed some kind of shell scripting which can inject these kind of failures in the system, and for recording the performance test we use time series database, that is Influx and CrateDB. Next is the Grafana dashboard for visualizing the response time for the time series database. And we actually developed a kind of application which was developed in Angular app, but there is a possibility to upgrade to React.js for a better UI to show the response time degradation analysis. And also we have used graphs module in the Angular application. So basically the performance framework, it was as it is, which is being used by the entire organization. So on the top of this particular performance framework, we have thought of building a wrapper which can optionally inject this kind of chaos engineering, like frequent chaos engineering injection in the system, and test the system against these abnormal failures. So JMeter we have used for executing the performance test, existing performance test, and Ansible we have used for deploying different kind of packages and modules and software in the respective environment, like application host, DB host, or web server host, and the shell scripting for creating those logic for this chaos engineering tool. So next we'll move forward to the next slide. I'll just show you what is the architecture for this framework we have actually adopted. So in this slide I'll be explaining the solution overview for this particular tool. So we have developed an agent which will be deployed actually in all the application web and DB host, and this particular chaos agent will listen to all the application nodes for any specific products and for a specific load service. So in the procurement sphere we have the concept of load service, which is actually hosting the application in different environment. So it's kind of an environment, and it is actually hosted on a particular load service. So I'm not going into detail, but for the project and for the procurement product which you have used, there is a concept of hosting the application into multiple load services and testing the resiliency of this application. Now based on this predefined logic, this agent will restart the application nodes and the schedule I have just mentioned here. So whenever we are starting a particular specific test, so after 10 minutes it will execute the algorithm in any of the nodes, and then start and continue the test after starting the service. And using this algorithm we have defined a particular schedule. So after 10 minutes, after 30 minutes, after 50 minutes, so this particular execution of the algorithm will continue based on a random sequence. So that has actually we have gone through based on some business requirement from the product team, and based on that we have actually came up on this particular schedule. So it kind of a cron job. So this cron job will execute this algorithm based on multiple nodes. So suppose there are 30 nodes which is hosting the application. There can be task node which is actually responsible for different types of tasks, like user is logging to the UI and user is executing some workflow, and some of the nodes, for example it's a manager node which is responsible for management activities. Some of the nodes can be an admin related activity which is responsible for hosting any admin applications. So all these nodes are actually hosting the entire procurement application, and this particular chaos engineering tool which will be executed for a 2 hours stress test or 48 hours stability test, it will execute this particular algorithm on a predefined schedule based on a cron job, and it will pick up any random nodes which like if for hosting a particular application, if 10 nodes are responsible, so this particular tool will make sure that it will randomly pick up 8 to 9 nodes, and then once it is actually putting down or shutting down these nodes, it will help us to see how the application behaves in case if these nodes goes down, and it immediately comes up after a certain period of time. So that's all we talk about resiliency and recoverability testing of a system. So based on that, we have actually come up on kind of a resiliency score, and this actually shows that this particular application is able to recover from a abnormal and sudden failure, and it is showing a good resiliency score. Based on that, we can compare the baseline test and the baseline result, and we can compare that the response time for this particular application was within that range, and after we have injected this chaos agent, this particular application is showing this kind of response time, and if this is comparable and acceptable, then we go ahead and sign this application. So I've created a kind of framework and kind of machine learning algorithm which will compare the entire build result for last 200 tests, and based on that it will give a result and on which we will compare the resiliency score of this particular application with the injection of chaos agent or without the injection of the chaos agent. So that's how we have actually built our framework for chaos agent injection. Next is same thing, like as I mentioned, like we have actually implemented a machine learning algorithm which can be applied on the logs, and a user can select the execution of the resilience agent as optional. Like if you want to continue with the execution of this resilient testing agent or chaos agent, you can do a checkbox. You can click on a checkbox, and based on that, this particular application will invoke this particular chaos testing agent on this particular application. And if you do not want, if you want to continue as BAU for your performance test, you can also go ahead. It is kind of an optional in case any performance test user or any user wants to test the system in case of any abnormal failures or chaos testing scenario. They can check this particular option, and based on that the CI/CD pipeline will invoke the entire test with the help of this chaos testing agent. So that's all about the solution of this particular framework. So we'll move over for the next slide. So we are trying to adopt a new agent in the application server, and this will not impact anything into the internal and external to the application in production. So existing thing will be remain as it is. It will not change anything. In case like if user wants to test the existing scenarios and BAU scenarios with the help of this particular application, they can continue as it is. However, if they want to test anything extra as a wrapper of the performance test, then only they can inject this particular tool, and then the entire execution will be falling under the chaos engineering framework, and then they can compare and analyze their test execution result with the help of this chaos testing agent tool. So that's all about the change impact. And business impact, this stability of the application we can assure better so that the production failure can be minimized. And also resiliency and recoverability of this testing is kind of an CI/CD or control deployment based environment where it helps for SAP kind of products. So this solution is provides, and as I mentioned earlier, and capturing the metrics along with the existing performance testing framework. So so the main objective, the final goal is to test the resiliency and recoverability of the application, which is required for getting a better NPS. And also beyond stability, it also ensures that any production failures can be minimized, and it can prevent any kind of abnormal failures and result in better customer experience with the help of this framework. So result analysis with the chaos agent execution will be followed by the upcoming slides. So this is a small like I tried to give an like UI view, the response time analysis, how does it look like. So in the left side, for example, the test number I have mentioned. So when the left side, the execution shows that test is running without the chaos agent, and it is showing a linear kind of graph. Whenever we are adopting and whenever we are starting the execution with the chaos agent, the response time graphs will look like this. So this is how it shows that your test is having some abnormalities, but yes, based on the result and analysis, that baseline that is the baseline comparison will be compared before signing off a particular build or a particular SP. Like if you want to
So in which scenario,
a spring. Hmm.
in which scenario this graph will be linear, and in which particular scenario it will be abnormal?
Yeah. So whenever we are executing this particular thing, so it is we are injecting this chaos and abnormality in the system, so your response times and your interaction will take some time to complete. So but based on that particular analysis, we needed to make sure this application is recoverable from this failure. That's what we actually needed to analyze.
Mm-hmm. No, in last one there is abnormality, means not smooth. So what is the situation in that? In
Sorry,
the
in
upper
last
left,
one.
I mean in blue line,
Mm-hmm.
graph is not smooth as compared to uh, like violet. So what is those kind of scenario?
No, this is within that 5,000 seconds with that. So this is kind of, and we are having a baseline, how much it will take time. That's why, like, if your load is going high, some, so it's,
Mm-hmm.
if you, now about load testing, right? So we are injecting load. So virtual users we are injecting, right? So definitely with the virtual users, it will have, we are having some like baseline for our existing test. So the left one is executed with that particular specific load. Suppose it has started in 15 minutes, it has started with 200 virtual users. After 30 minutes, it has to 1500 virtual users. So your load will definitely go high. But with that 1500 virtual users, if your execution is happening at least with 5000 range, so but it is not, it is going to much more high with the execution of this chaos agent. So that's where the abnormality it is actually being observed and being analyzed with the help of this particular framework. So there is definitely, whenever you are increasing the load, your response time will actually impact it somewhat, but that is based on the virtual users. So that's where the stability and stress testing are being worked.
So suppose if virtual users are like variating in between in particular time frame, like suppose at particular point that there are 100 users, then after that some time it will use 1000 users. So after that 600 like that. So suppose there will be some non-linear kind of. So how can we smooth to do activity?
No, that's kind of an performance testing front of view. So that's like if we virtual users think, so we need to see the so we actually used to see the response time graphs which actually come after the entire execution, whenever it is completed or between the execution. So the left one is taken as an example from an BAU execution. So that's kind of analysis based on a particular performance testing point of view. But here we actually observed the spike, the abnormal spike of the graph. So you can definitely see the right side, it is very much abnormal from the left side. So that's where the analysis is coming to picture. So the question is actually will be handled by the performance testing team. So that's kind of an scope of the stability and stress testing execution point of view. So
Okay,
yeah.
in case of suppose in case of serverless application,
Mhm.
if there is a particular like we can talk in terms of any services running on AWS. So
Mhm.
in particular season or festival, suppose there is a sale. So at that time there will be very high demand of particular means user at that point in time. So I'm asking that how to handle those kind of means scale up, means automatic scaling up and down. So those servers how manage itself.
So
So they
scaling up
have
and
enough.
down, these kind of things are auto scaling capabilities, if I'm understanding your record.
That auto scaling I'm asking. So that is also kind of there is a lot of replica server of existing server. Or how those things are handled. I mean,
So to give you an like this particular application is not deployed into cloud. So we are running in our virtual sphere, our on-premises network. So this particular framework is not deployed on cloud. So to answer whatever I have the knowledge, so for that you have to create an auto scaling capability for scale out and scale in, and based on that, if your load is high on a particular server, you can create a CloudWatch monitoring, and based on that you can create an auto scaling rules. Based on that, your server will react to the on demand infrastructure. So but this application is not deployed on the cloud, so it is on premises. So that's how it actually works.
all right.
Yeah. So that's it. So from my end, so roadmap is like we are trying to implement the concept of machine learning in the infrastructure and find the patterns of the failures and resolve them with this deployment of this chaos agent. And lastly, like benchmark. So we are having a benchmark based on the result of this test execution. So based on this particular execution, we are creating a benchmark, like how much this particular degradation will be accepted to sign off a particular test or sign off a particular sprint. Based on that, we are working on creating the benchmark based on the result of any previous test execution. So that's where the machine learning infrastructure, machine learning concept has been implemented. Like still it is in progress, so we have not implemented fully still now, so that is in progress. So that's all from my end from today. So over to Sarita. Hi Sarita, are you there?
I suppose Sarita might be facing some connectivity issues. Thanks a lot, Shubhodip, for this wonderful presentation. Thanks for sharing your insights and answering all the questions. I think we'll
queries, like team can post on any queries. I'll be happy to answer. I think there are a few more questions are there, but to give the opportunity to others also to speak, so that's why I've like ended my presentation. So definitely you can reach out to me, like Surinder or anyone. You can reach out to me in case of any queries in terms of any cloud infrastructure implementation or anything for the load balancing part. I'll be happy to answer. Yeah, over to Karthik.
Sure. Please feel free to carry on the Q&A in chat. I think with that, probably hand it over to the next folks in the agenda. I think it could be Vedant or Shubham.
Yeah, got it.
Thank you.
Okay. So, hey everyone, good morning. This is Vedant Shrutia here. I'm also contributor at Litmus Chaos and software developer at Chaos Native. So today I will be taking you through the changes that we have done in Litmus portal along with a demo to that you follow along with me. So firstly, I will just give you a brief about my setup. So this is just my local cluster, that is K3s cluster that I have deployed using K3D binary. And here I have deployed Litmus portal that is 2.1.0 using this manifest. You can also use Helm chart for this to install the same. And so like starting with the same, so whenever we are installing Litmus portal through Helm chart or manifest, only 3 components get installed, that is front end, back end, the GraphQL server and authentication server and MongoDB. So these are the basically the control plane, chaos control plane components. And for admin, whenever you are like logging in through the portal, like on a particular cluster, you will also get an execution plane components also. So in that you will get workflow controller, subscriber, event tracker, and chaos export and event. Yeah. So like as I have already logged in through the portal on my cluster. So the execution plane components are already deployed here. So basically, like the chaos control plane is the one like using which the users can interact like and schedule workflows onto their agents. Now let me just go to the portal. So that's how UI looks. I have already scheduled some of the workflows. Um, Let me just get it here. Okay. So firstly, for scheduling a workflow, basically we can just go through the workflow like structure. So firstly, like for example, if you have installed Portal onto your cluster and you want to target an application, so if I show you on my cluster, so I have one application um, in default namespace, that is sample Nginx application. So if I want to target this application, I need an agent. So I have already because like as an admin, I got the self agent for me. So using this agent, I can like target any application on this particular cluster. So the Nginx application is also onto the same cluster, so we can target that application using the self agent, right? So in case you have any different application on different cluster apart from the cluster on which you have installed Portal, so what you have to do is you have to connect an agent through that cluster to Portal. So use for that, you can use Litmus CTL that we have like command line tool for connecting other clusters to Litmus Portal. So you can use the Litmus CTL and connect your agents from that particular cluster to Portal. Now, moving ahead with the scheduling of workflows. So firstly, if you're scheduling a workflow, you need to target an agent, right? And then target an application, right? And that application is residing on a particular cluster. So how do we get to that particular cluster is through the agent, because we already installed one agent of our own onto that cluster. So we can use that agent to actually inject chaos on a particular application. So first step is to select workflow, select agent. So we can like select our self agent because I want to target an application on my cluster only. And I will move forward. So I have like got options to schedule predefined workflows that Litmus provides of its own. We can also go on like this is the option that we get when you've already scheduled one or two workflows. You can save them, and also you can select like experiments from Chaos Hub. That is the default hub that we use. And also in case you have like already like created a manifest of your own for a particular workflow, you can upload that as well, right? So I like moving ahead with the demo as well as the I have to also show the UI enhancement that we have done. So I'm just taking this potato head, right? And I'm moving forward with the settings. So here on this page, you can like configure your workflow name, description, or namespace. I'm just moving forward with the same settings. And in case you have your images deployed onto your different registry, you can go to the like settings page and configure a registry here, and then you can like come back to the screen and then enable the registry settings there. I'm just going back. Yeah. So you can just enable your image registry settings here, and then all the images will be fetched from your Docker registry, right? Now on this page, if you see here on this page, this page gives you control of your workflow. Like you can configure like many of the things of your workflow from here on this screen only. So firstly, whatever like workflow that you have selected, this will be visualized here. So you can check out that workflow, how it is looking. Also, you can go ahead and change the sequence of the experiments or the steps that you have and save the changes. Now, other thing is that you can like, in case you don't want to use UI or you have something like that you want to edit in the YAML itself, you can go ahead and edit your YAML and save changes, right? Now, as a first time user in 2.0, like anyone have already used it, so like on this screen there is one difference. Like if in case you want to yet like contribute sorry, not contribute, configure this experiment, you can click on the name of the experiment and then you can configure this experiment, right? But previously there's not much like intuitive to the user. Users might not know that they can actually click on the experiments and configure their experiments. So for like 2.1, we just added one like edit button here so that users can like click on this one and edit their experiments accordingly to their needs. Now moving further, so here comes the target application configuration part, right? We already selected our agent, so we know on which cluster we want to target our application, right? And we have also like get our experiment, what experiments we want to do, right? Now we have to configure like on that particular cluster which application we want to target. So you can go ahead and select your namespace in that particular cluster. So this is my like local cluster. So I can just select any namespace. So I'm just going ahead with this, but you can click like select any default namespace. You can go ahead and any say select any kind of your choice, and then you can select an application using its label, right? Moving forward, so here, so there is one more change from Litmus like 2.2 to 2.1. Previously, like users were able to add like new pros using this button. You can go ahead and like add new pros by like providing the configuration details here. But there was like no option to actually edit the existing workflow, edit existing probes, right? So this time you can go ahead and like click on this edit button, so you can like edit your own like existing probes and like save the configuration here. So with that, once you have saved your like configurations and target application, you can move ahead. And in case you want to add some of your environment variables that you want to add apart from these given, so you can add your variables here and
Sorry, folks, I think some issue with Vedant's system. He'll be back in a couple of minutes.
hey guys, I think I got disconnected due to the network problem. Sharing my screen again. Can anyone know where was I when I got disconnected?
You were here itself, Vedant. I think you can continue.
Okay. Okay. So using this screen, you can like configure the weights for your experiments and move forward. Now on the next screen, you get the option for like scheduling your workflow. So if in case you want to run your workflow right now, you can select this one, or in case you want to schedule a workflow for later use or a recurring one, you can use this option, right? Now I'm just moving ahead with the schedule now option. So on this screen, you can verify all the details that you have, workflow name, agent, like on which cluster you want to like target an application, and also the weights, and you can like view your YAML here. And with that, in case everything is fine, you can just move ahead with scheduling a workflow. Right. So it is visible now here. You can check this workflow, how it is behaving, like performing, and you can also like get the details of all the steps here on in this table. Right. Now, this will take time to run, so we can go ahead with other details. So on this screen previously, like users had one like query. They wanted to like, for example, if you have like schedule one workflow, so this is running here, but for like seeing the manifest what you actually schedule, you have to come to this screen and then you have to download the manifest, right? But user wanted to see the details and manifest here only. So you can now we have given the option. You can click on the three dots and you can click on view manifest for that particular workflow. So you can check the workflow run here in case you need anything or you want to make any changes here, right? Now another thing is, for example, as you can see, I have almost 7 workflow runs here and 5 schedules, right? So it is still easy in case I want to know like how, like for example, this is a cron workflow run, right? So in case I want to know like what are the workflow runs, what are the different workflow runs of this particular schedule, right? I can just go here and check, okay, this is also 701, this is also 701. So these are the workflow runs of this particular schedule, right? But it is fine in case you have this 5 schedules and 7 workflow runs, but in case you have 200 workflow runs and 50 schedule, it will be very difficult for you to map your workflow runs to workflow schedules, right? So this column that we have added in this list, that is 2.1, so you can click on workflow runs to actually get the like workflow runs for that particular schedules. So this will give you the workflow runs for a particular schedule without like mapping here and there from runs to the schedule, right? Now coming on to one more enhancement that we have done. So for example, previously, let's say you are going to schedule a workflow and you selected your self agent, right? They can be many other agents. I'm just taking an example of self agent, and you are now going ahead in the path of scheduling workflow. But now when you are you just selected one workflow, right? And you just selected your agent as well. Now when you are on this screen, your agent got in inactive state. Like it can be any like cause why your agent got inactivated. There can be network issues or something, right? But now you are already in this path of scheduling workflow. So whenever you will be like going to schedule a workflow from on this screen, you will get an alert that your agent is in inactive state. So for showing this demo, I will just use one agent. So as you can see, I have I also have one more agent, that is namespace agent. I connected using kubectl. I'm just showing you that one. So if you see, there's a another agent that I have in namespace scope, and the subscriber is in error image code. So I've made it like purposefully in error state so that I can depict the demo. So now it is in namespace agent and it is not active, right? And if you see here, there is a schedule that I had run on namespace agent, right? So this was the workflow that was scheduled there. But now if I try to rerun this schedule, as expected, this should not be run, right? Because the agent is not in active state, so it should not be scheduled again. So if you click on it, you will get an alert that agent is not in active state to run the selected workflow, right? So this same like alert you will get when you are scheduling a workflow from the verify and commit screen. So in the UI, this was the enhancement that we have done. Along with there have been many bug fixes that we get from community as well in observability as well as scheduling. So in case you haven't seen this screen, so when you schedule a particular workflow, in case it is already running, so you might not get all the details here. It has to complete before you can get statistics for that particular workflow. But if it is already completed, you can go ahead and see statistics. So if it is a like recurring workflow, you can get the details, average resiliency score and what are the workflow runs. So it is the average resiliency score for all the 3 workflow runs in overall. And you can also see the success and failed according to experiments as well as workflow runs, right? And in case you move below here, so you can like see that these are 3 workflow complete runs on 20th September. If you click on it, you will get an stack bar. These are 3 workflow runs which ran, which were scheduled on a recurring mode. And if you click on a one workflow run, you will get the details for that particular workflow run here. So you have the weight of the test which we as a user gave and what was the resulting point which we got from the portal, right? And that's why we got 100% resiliency score. In case your workflow run is not a recurring one, I think I might not show from here. So in case your workflow is not a recurring one, so you will only get like these details, and for statistics for a particular workflow, because it is not a recurring one, so you won't get 3 or 2 workflows, and only these details will be here, and you will get the details about the experiments in this table. So and as you can see on this screen, you will get the how you can see like this graph, how your workflow runs and schedules are performing along time. And yeah, and so one more thing apart from UI. So previously, if you had installed Portal, you must have seen that sometimes like the portal, not portal, the server's pod was crashing. Like when we just installed Portal, that was because until and unless the MongoDB is in running state, the server won't be able to start, right? It depends on the MongoDB server. So this time what we have done is we have added one init container. We have added one init container so that it waits wait for a MongoDB like component to be in running instead, and only after that your Litmus Portal GraphQL server and authentication server will be initialized. So you won't get any error in that case, because like it was like I would say recommended feature from the community, because in case like this is still good if you're running it on your local system where you don't have alerting system or monitoring system, right? But in case you have a like a good resilient cluster and you have all the alerting and monitoring setup ready for your cluster, so in case your portal server pod is crashing, then you will be getting alerts for it. But that error is due to just because the MongoDB server is not in ready state. So to resolve that issue, we have added an init container so that you don't get errors for such scenarios. So yeah, so this was all from my side. In case anyone have any questions, you can ask. I'm just stopping sharing my screen. I think this is fine.
Thanks, Vedant. If we have any questions for Vedant, then you can post them in chat. And perhaps now I would like to welcome Shubham, who will be talking about SLO validation and chaos with Iterate and Litmus Chaos.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shubham, software engineer at Chaos Native and contributor to Litmus Chaos. I'm sharing my screen. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, Shubham, it is.
So I have shared the link of this documentation if you want to try this. So the topic is SLO validation with chaos injection. So I'm using Litmus, which is an open source chaos engineering tool for the chaos injection. So as part of this, I will use a pod delete experiment, and I'm using Iterate, which is also an open source tool from the IBM. So I will use Iterate for the SLO validation. So as part of this demo, if we see this diagram, so we will create a hello world application, which is just printing the hello world and the name of the host. We will install the Litmus and Iterate experiments. So like periodically, it will delete the hello world pod, and at the same time, it will collect the metrics to validate the SLOs. And we will check if the SLO is meet or not. For example, before injection of the chaos, we can see the application is healthy, and after the chaos injection, we can also see the application is healthy. But the SLO validation can help what is happened while running the chaos. So so it will collect the metrics when we are injecting the chaos, and we can see how our application is behaving for the different matrices. So Iterate has some inbuilt metrics. So we will use few of them to validate, and we will see if we are meeting our criteria or objective, which we define under the Iterate. So as part of this, we need to first install the Iterate and Litmus. So we can see the instructions here. We can install the Iterate, and then it contains it have a Iterate CTL, which is a CLI from the Iterate. So we can install the Iterate CTL, which can help to describe the summary of the runs. And then here is the step to install the Litmus. So we can see we can install the Litmus 1.13.8. And after installation, we can verify it. So I have already installed in my cluster. So I'm using EKS cluster, so we can verify it. So we can see all the 3 CRDs. So Litmus have 3 CRDs: chaos engine, chaos experiment, chaos results. So we can see all the 3 CRDs here, and we can also verify the control plane component for the Litmus 1.0, which is a operator. So we can see in the Litmus namespace. I have installed the Litmus in Litmus namespace. So we can see the chaos operator is in running state. We can also verify the Iterate. So Iterate also have 2 CRDs. So one is the metrics. So I already mentioned that Iterate supports some built-in metrics, which we will show in the demo deck how we will use those metrics. And Iterate also have an experiment where we can define what are the objectives and what are the target applications and other details. So that we can define in the experiment. So this is another CR and CRD. So we can also check the iterate installation, which will install in iterate system namespace. So we can see these both are running. So this is the control manager, which is running the experiment which is created by the iterate, and this is the for the metrics part. So it will take those CRs from the metrics and it will run and use like expose those metrics. So we can also use these metrics in the Prometheus Grafana dashboard, but as part of this, I'm just doing without it. I mean, I'm just putting inside the experiment and I'm just validating if it is pass or fail. We can see what are the like metrics which is supported by the iterate. So these are the metrics which is supported by the iterate. So we can see the error count and error rates. So it will check all the errors, like it will send a HTTP request to the like service or the application which we are using, and it will check if it is getting 400 like error from 400 or 500 families. So we can define what can be the max limit for this error count and error rates. The next one is the latency. So we can define the maximum percentile of the latency. So we will see like for the 50 percentile, 75 percentile, 90, 95, and 99. So we can it will check for these percentile for the latency, and we can provide the maximum value. So if it will fulfill the value, then it will pass, or else it will fail. And this is the mean value for the entire, and it will collect the mean value, and then it will validate it. The next one is the request count. So we will send the request, and we will see the number of requests we will able to fulfill it. So these are the metrics which are supported by this. So as part of this, the next step is creation of the application. So as I already mentioned, we are creating a Hello World application, so which is running in default namespace. We can see this is the Hello World application, which I'm running one replica of it, and we can also check it. So what it is doing, so we can do, it is running on 8080 port number. Yeah, so we can curl it and check it what this it is doing. So it is just printing the Hello World, and it is running with the 1.0.0 version of Hello World, and this is the host name, this is the port name where it is running. So this is the Hello World application which I'm using for the demo. So next we will go to what for the next step. So next step, we are using the Helm to install the iterate and litmus experiment. So we will see what we are installing in it. So this is the Helm which we are using. As part of this, we are installing the iterate experiment. So in iterate experiment, we can define the readiness. So readiness means it will validate for these, like it will wait until we will find these inside the cluster. So first one is like Hello service, which is in a default namespace, and the next one is the Hello deployment, which is in a default namespace. It will wait until they both are not available. So next one is collection of the metrics. So we are collecting the metrics for the 30 seconds, and we are sending a 8 query per seconds, and we can so here is the URL. So it will collect at this URL. So we can see here. So we are passing the URLs while applying the Helm. So this is the URL, which is the Hello World application URL. So for the Hello World application, it will collect the metrics. So next is the SLO part. So we will define our objective. So as part of this demo, I'm using 3 objects. So objectives. So first one is the mean latency. So we will say using the value of the mean latency as 50. So this is the upper bound of this. So the mean latency value should be less than equal to 50 for this. And the next one is the error rate. So for the error rate, I'm using 0. So the value of error rate should be less than equal to 0.0. The next one is the 95 percentile of the latency, which should be less than equal to 100 for our case. So we see the upper limit. We are using the Helm template for this. So the next one is the pod delete experiment. So this is the first one is from the iterate, and this is from the litmus. So we are installing the pod delete experiment. So we have a we support the, like, we can run it for any experiment which litmus support, but as part of this demo, I am using the only the pod delete. So you can try it by the different experiments and see how it is behaving. So in this pod delete, I provide the default value, just pull it from the chaos hub. The next one is the chaos engine. So this chaos engine bind the experiment with the application. So we see I provided the template for the application namespace, application label, and application kind, which I am passing here. So application name is default, application label is hello world application, and default hello. The kind is already set in value.yml, which is deployment by default, because it is the only for the deployment. So I'm not overriding it. It is already default deployment. And I'm using the pod delete service account, which contains the minimal permission to run this pod delete experiment. The next one is the total chaos duration, and this. So I'm running it for 60 duration, and for the for every 4 seconds, I'm deleting it. So for every the iteration, the count is 4. So this is for the chaos engine. Next one is the service account. So this is the service account to run this pod delete experiment. So it contains all the permission which is run by the to run this pod delete experiment. So as part of this Helm installation, I'm installing all these things. So whenever we install, it will immediately start the chaos and same the SLO validation. So I can apply this. Okay, so it is installed. So we can here see the pod delete experiment started. So we can see the hello world pod is already started. So it will start after a few seconds every time. So again, it's started. So it keep running for the 60 seconds. So we will wait for the chaos to be completed. So here are some validation steps. So we can run this command and check the status of the experiments. So we can see it is in running state. So we will wait until it is in completed state. So it may take 60 seconds. Also for the iterate, we can it is for the 30 seconds. So we can also verify the iterate running status by this. So I think it is already past 30 seconds. So iterate is completed. So we will wait until the chaos is completed. Yeah, we can see the pod delete experiment is completed. So we can again verify it. So we can see the chaos is in completed state, and then we can check the winner status for this iterate. So we can see the no winner is found. So why the no winner is found, we can verify the iterate CTL command. So we can see we define the 3 objectives and 2 objectives is failed, because we have only one replica of the hello application and we are deleting it continuously. So because we have only one replica, so its mean latency is high because we are deleting for the few times it is not there. And this one is for the 95 percentile. So and it is a for each 4 seconds we are deleting it. So we are checking it for, it should be less than equal to 100, but the value we can see 1600. So because the value is high, so that's why it is failed. So that's why we did not see any winner form. So because our SLO is valid, because we are deleting the pod, so and we have only one replica and SLO is not validated. So we can go for the next step. So in the next step, I mean, we can scale our application and we will check for the 2 replicas. So and we will delete only the 1 replica. So 1 replica will be up and live for the entire cache duration. So we can see I just like scale my replica to the 2, then I can uninstall the experiment so that I will create it again. So we can see all the like engine and all the iterate things which we all are deleted. We can again run the same experiment. Now we have 2 replicas and we are deleting only 1 replica. So you can perform the same steps. Again, like it may take 60 seconds for the completion of the chaos. So we can see the pod delete experiment started. So now we are deleting this hello application. So we see at a one moment we are deleting only 1 pod, and we are selecting the random pod. So we are using some random logic. So earlier we see we deleted this pod, now we are deleting this pod. So again, it may take some time. So we can verify again the status of the chaos result. So we can see it is in running state. So we will wait until it will come to the complete state. Yeah, pod delete experiment is completed. Again, we can check the state of this. Yeah, so we can see the chaos is completed. So we can again verify the winner status also. So earlier we see no winner found. Right now we see all conditions satisfied. It means all the SLO is validated this time. So we can verify it. So this time we see for this all are true, because we can see for the 95 percentile the value is only 2 this time, because we are deleting only 1 replica and 1 replica is up and running. So there is no downtime for that application. So our SLO is satisfied. And we can also see the status of the chaos result as well. So we see the chaos is also is in a pass. We have a pass verdict for the chaos result. So we can also describe the chaos result, as chaos result contain some other information as well. So we can see the chaos result contain all the like these are the details with like history, like this is the cumulative sum on some of the pass runs, and these are the target detail. It is the information about the application. So as we are running a chaos on the deployment, which the name of the deployment is hello, and we are generating the events for that at the different stages of the experiments. And we also the litmus support the probes which can also perform the SLO validation, how we see for the iterate. So we can also define our SLO validation inside the chaos engine, and we can perform them. So we can use any HTTP, KTS, Prometheus, and command probe. And we can see the verdict is pass and there is no fail step. So that's why it is NA and phase is completed. So and also like we are also generating event in the different stages of the experiment inside the chaos engine as well. So we can also verify it. So we can see we created in the beginning of the experiment when we start the engine. So when operator is always looking for the chaos engine. So when it finds the chaos engine, we create the corresponding chaos run and other things. So the job when we created the job and pre-chaos check, like as part of a litmus, we are performing pre and post chaos check where we are validating the application status. So you can see AUT's application under test, which is in running state, and then the chaos is injected, then post chaos check, and then the summary of the experiment, whether it is pass or fail, and the when we clean the job based on the job cleanup policy, and finally the chaos engine is completed. So at different stages of the experiment, we created the events in the chaos engine, so we can track this. And also this is also the like for the application status as for the experiment status as well, we can also check this as well. So the chaos engine is sufficient to check all the status, so we can see the verdict and other details here. So we can also use this to check this. Yeah, so I think this is all about demo. We are already done with it. So same sense. So what is the next step? So if you want to try it, so this is just for the demo. So we use our Hello World application in the pod delete experiment. If you want to try, so you can use any experiment. Litmus support 51 experiment right now, so you can use any one of those experiments, and you can try on your applications and follow the same step. And you can also validate your SLOs with iterate. We already see that what are the metrics supported by the iterate. So this is all about demo. So if we have any questions. Okay, so if anybody have any questions, so we can ask in Slack or in the chat also if you want.
Sure. Thank you, Shubham. And for the ones who are here, let me again post in the Slack details on how you can join it. So if you have any doubts regarding the workshop, please join the Slack and ask our moderators. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.